you're new to the Experience More Tour, my name is Marshall. I am a facilitator with GORE-TEX. I'm a trainer in North America with GORE-TEX, meaning that I get to sort of develop a lot of curriculum and then deliver curriculum as well throughout all of North America, whether that be to you who are retailers in the industry, or whether I go into like sales meetings with brands and training them on some of the products that they're using, or even going internal at Gore and helping to understand and communicate everything that GORE-TEX is up to. So today we're going to be focusing on footwear. Kind of cool that we get to really specifically focus on invisible fit because that is what HOKA in these trail categories is really leveraging and have been an early adopter of invisible fit all the way along. So to have that conversation, we reached out to one of our favorites at HOKA, Jared Smith, who is a product manager in the trail performance category. And for those of you who don't know what a product manager means or does, we're going to ask Jared and give us a little insight into what his daily job is at HOKA. But Jared, welcome to Experience More Tour. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, great to be back. Thanks so much for the intro, Marshall. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jared. I am a product line manager on the performance footwear side of things here at HOKA. I've been overseeing our trail running category for about the last 6 years, and that includes everything run focused with some fun cross pollination of some road products and some work products in there just to keep it interesting and me learning. The product line manager really acts as the hub between several functions within the development process of footwear. So working with our designers, our developers, our colorists, our fit and wear test team, our marketing team, and our sales team to ensure that everybody's working towards the same direction of creating amazing product, making sure we're staying on time, making sure we're staying within a budget, and delivering some pretty sweet product within roughly 18 months from the day that we brief it to the day that it is live online or on shelves and we are able to sell with our customers. So it's a fun day to day, never the same. There's something I learn every single day, whether it's something from a development standpoint, something of testing, how they shape questions. I love it. I'm surrounded by some of the most talented people in the world, and I get to call it work. So this is a joy to share some of this with you.
So right at this moment, I'm just kind of curious, because I know you have a long development cycle. What models are you currently like the closest to, like kind of really diving into like this week, maybe, or this month?
Yeah, so we're working on updates in seasons for fall 27 and kicking off things for spring of 28. I'll keep some of the models specifically under the
Yeah, of
cloak,
course.
but primarily everything trail running and some fun innovation stuff that we're working on with some athletes that may or may not be seen in the coming months and year at some key races. So yeah, it's a fun week here at HOKA. One, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and the sun is shining, so that's a win. And two, we're buttoning up some really fun stuff for spring 27. So closing the books on one season and starting another with spring 28.
Yeah, and so you're working sort of way to the future, but also currently, right? Like you're still supporting this Challenger 8, right? I know you developed this a while ago, but now is the time to like bring it to life.
Yep.
And you're also, getting the Speedgoat 7 has been now in the non-Gore out in the market for a little bit. The Speedgoat 7 GORE-TEX is coming. What are you kind of learning as you work across multiple franchises, right? You get to work in all these different franchises, maybe in performance, but what kind of like bridges come across? What trends are you looking at, and how's your mind at that in some of this current product?
I think the thing that we and myself in particular really focus on is the experience and having a lot of ongoing conversations with the consumer and our athletes to understand how the experience is being translated through the product that we're delivering and being able to create an array of experiences. The Challenger is a great example as a style that works in a wide variety of environments. It's kind of that perfect road to trail option. And then we spoke about the Speedgoat. That's kind of like the quintessential option for technical trails. It's the heart of our trail running lineup. And those experiences are definitely different underfoot. And that's intentional because we want to be able to have an intuitive selection based on what you're doing that day. And the feedback that we're getting from our athletes and consumers confirm that they're looking for those unique and distinct experiences. So yeah, it's fun to refine the different ingredients and the ways that we're building it, but using a unifying blueprint, if you will, in the HOKA experience that we have using a few core metrics that we focus on. So,
Yeah, and there is a Hoka feel, right? There's something about Hoka, right, that kind of sets it apart. And one of those would be this thing called the Hoka experience, or this concept. Can you? And I imagine this is something that you need to consider. This is the framework of which you need to make sure you consider as you develop products. Can you run us from your perspective through the Hoka experience and why this has been really important for Hoka?
yeah, it's an experience and an element of how we talk about what makes Hoka special. And it's easily identified through a few key pillars. Three of them that you see on the screen now is first, when a lot of people were introduced to the brand, they saw Hoka and they saw a lot of cushion. And so that's synonymous with what we deliver at the brand is a highly cushioned midsole. And we do that through really thoughtful geometries, the right compounds, and we pair that with other elements like the meta rocker. So ensuring there is the right amount of geometry and rocker, both in the forefoot for the toe off, as well as in the heel during landing throughout the entire midsole as you transition throughout the gait cycle. And then the third element is our active foot frame. And the best way that I like to articulate this is either two analogies. One is thinking about a race car. So you're sitting inside of the race car like a bolstered seat. So it's really kind of encapsulating your foot and encapsulating you as you're moving throughout your gait cycle on the road or on the trail, or like a kayak versus a surfboard. So you're really kind of inside of the midsole, providing a supportive and comfortable experience throughout the gait cycle. And so through each of the styles that we create, we fine tune the midsole, the meta rocker, and the active
Yeah.
foot frame appropriately for how we want that experience to be received, and tune it to surfaces as well.
Right. It's like you have this framework and then you can really tune it. And let's take a look at the whole trail line as a whole. And maybe give us a little information on how maybe we as retailers should be thinking about the trail line, how to best sort it, right? Is it by distance? Is it by nimbleness? Like, how do you sort of consider the trail line and building it out? And right there in the middle is the Speed Goat, because I think that's a pretty important shoe. But maybe we can start
Yep.
there and kind of build out from that.
Yeah, when people talk about trail running, if they're new to it or they're going to be entering the trail space, coming over to the brand, the Speedgoat is really one of the first places that people are drawn to because it is the heart of the Hoka lineup. It is something that throughout the industry, people point to the Speedgoat as kind of that benchmark shoe for a key or core experience of what trail running feels like from a cushioning standpoint, from a traction and grip standpoint, using some of the different compounds. Vibra Mega Grip, you can see that little yellow badge in the midfoot there, and then a very comfortable upper. So it's a very consistent and known quantity. So that's a bit of this hybrid approach of how we've looked at the Speedgoat living. It's very trainable, but also raceable. You look on the left-hand side, that's more of our like very cushioned and quintessential Hoka experience, looking at the Challenger, looking at the Stinson on the top there, that integrates a mild amount of stability included with that top midsole. Got the Torrent on the bottom, which is a nice lower profile entry option to trail running. And then as we cast ourselves to the right side of the screen, on the upper right-hand side is our more race-focused product with the Tecton X4, the Rocket X Trail, and our soon-to-be-released Zenal 3 in April. And then on the bottom right-hand side, that is our Mafate family. The Mafate has always been kind of this great vehicle for testing, iterating, and trying things. So we've introduced the Mafate X last year, which is a maximally cushioned H-frame carbon fiber plate. It's a big word, a lot of chain of words there, but it helps as a supportive chassis for all of that foam and cushioning underfoot for ultra distances on rolling terrain. And then our Mafate 5 on the bottom right there is kind of that tried and true, highly technical, go long, go far option with the right amount of cushioning, right amount of protection. So there is a suite of options, and it is fine tuned for the experience that our trail runners and global athletes are looking for.
I want to take as, for example, part of that Hoka experience, the Meta Rocker, right? That's a thing that I can see very easily looking at these profiles of shoes. And I notice a very different rocker profile in some of these products. And for instance,
Yeah.
the ones up in the upper right, those are really well, the top two have a lot of rocker built into them. Help us maybe understand how to best explain to customers, like if a shoe has a lot of rocker or if it doesn't, like what their maybe trail experience might be, and what's the theory behind adding more rocker or less rockers, so we can convey that to customers so we can get them the right product.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's really where that rocker is positioned and the aggressive nature of that rocker. So, if the rocker is further back in regards to the metatarsals or the ball of the foot, the further back it starts, the more aggressive it can be. So, there's more potential, more latent energy potential.
Hmm.
And the quicker up it sweeps, it provides a very instinctive rolling sensation when you're looking at that middle yellow GORE-TEX trail on the top right corner. That's a pretty aggressive rocker,
Yeah.
and that shoe is designed to go as fast as possible on rolling terrain. And if you look over to the Challenger, that's a little bit more of a moderate meta rocker. So a more smooth, um, yeah, smoother transition, smoother gait cycle. And it's really designed to have that real plush experience on the trail. So kind of polar opposites when you look at how we tune them. And it's done intentionally for the type of run and experience that is designed for that style.
Well, I like going faster, right? So why
Yeah.
wouldn't what would be the downside of selecting a shoe with a lot of rocker but I'm not racing and I'm not really an aggressive athlete?
Yeah, I think if you're getting into a shoe that has a ton of rocker, it's I know I've done it. I've done some plenty of testing outside of the office here, and if I'm going for an easy run and I put on if it is a GORE-TEX trail, I'm not going easy. You're gonna constantly be moving in this like forward prone position
Right.
and using some of those meta rockers as well as the other ingredients like the foams and the plates and things like that. It really adds to the momentum of where the gait cycle and the overall run can be. It's not necessarily to say that if you're slow, you're not going to be able to go fast, or fast, you're not going to be able to go slow. It just is where the shoe is designed
Yeah.
to be best suited. So, yeah, you can definitely do an easy day in a highly rockered shoe. It's just going to have a different experience than maybe what you intended.
Yeah, it's designed to go faster, therefore you probably need to put a little more energy into it. And if that's not really what you're out there for, it could feel a little awkward. Yeah, and
Yep.
it's like you're always putting the brakes on, and that not exactly what you want.
Yep.
Um, well, we're going to focus a little bit today on the Challenger, a lot today on the Challenger, because that is a shoe that's out in the market. The GORE-TEX launched a month or so ago, and I want to take some time talking about this particular shoe. Uh, you know, when we were talking last time, the Challengers in previous versions have been really this road to trail option for folks. Has that evolved with the Challenger 8? And if so, like how?
Yeah, I think the Challenger has always been this easy go-to for that transitional road to trail option. It is that shoe that I will bring traveling.
Mm,
I will always seek dirt wherever I go,
yeah,
even if I'm in the city and I know I'm going to be in a city. If there's some urban trails, I'm going to seek them out.
100%.
So it provides this great option for those that are either running from their house to get to the trail, or it's kind of a cross surface experience. It leaves you feeling confident on not exactly the most technical trail, but like mildly technical trail with the way that the lugs are designed. And then when you're on the road, it doesn't make you feel like you're on a cleated shoe or a very deeply aggressive outsole construction. It still feels smooth. So it has this great transition between surfaces. And yeah, it lives to deliver that experience consistently from where the first iteration was brought into the market, and is a great cousin or complement to a road style that's been in our line from, we'll call it day three, the Clifton. It's a style that
Yeah,
many people know on the roadside, and
yeah.
so it's a great cousin and partner to where that sits in terms of the entire profile. So those experiences are going to be very similar,
Hmm.
with the Challenger being more apt for trail surfaces.
No, I like that, right? Like if somebody is familiar with Clifton, and many of your customers are familiar with the Clifton, and they're looking to transition into a little more trail or maybe have a slightly more versatile shoe. This is gonna feel really similar on their foot, right? Like from the fit profile to the just the overall amount of foam, right? It's gonna feel really similar, but tuned more for lightly tuned It's like putting AT tires on your car, right?
It's
it kind of
exactly
handles
it.
both
Yeah.
pretty well.
Yeah, it's on the same last. We're using the same stack heights, the same profile and base nets is the way that we talk about the stance of where the shoe lines up while it's landing on the ground. Same drop. So in the 8, we did some great updates
Yeah, let's
and
go
we're
through those
able,
updates. I want to
yeah,
spend some time understanding like what happened, what changed. So let's go.
we did a ton of research and some thinking and some iterating, and we were able to utilize a new last for Hoka. And it was first introduced with the Clifton 9.
Mhm.
And that last allowed us to do a few things. One is increase our drop. So the stack height between the heel and the forefoot, we're able to increase that slightly. And we did that with a lot of intention because the way that foams are interacting with our feet during the gait cycle, during our runs, they are softer. And that softer foam causes a little bit more displacement of the foot throughout the gait cycle. So increasing that drop reduces some of the strain on the Achilles. And we used an 8 millimeter drop for the Challenger as well as the Clifton. And that's done intentionally just to mitigate the amount of negative drop during the loading phase of the gait cycle.
Right.
So we did that. And we also added 2 more millimeters of foam underneath the entire foot. So we've increased drop, we've increased the stack height, and we've maintained our weight. And in some cases, we've reduced weight. So
Wow.
adding more of the things that you love about what Hoka can deliver, both on the road and the trail specifically here in the Challenger, and maintained weight was a huge win for us. Looking into the upper, we made some great refinements to our upper textile. And it was something that we were talking about just the other day is between the non-GORE-TEX and GORE-TEX version, we're using essentially the exact same material in the upper, which is something that doesn't really happen very often.
No,
A
and I
lot of
wish it would
swaps.
more, so I love it.
Yeah, you have to swap a lot of materials sometimes just to get the right protection. And we were able to just re-engineer some of the way that this upper was woven and knit. And we just created a tighter pattern here in this textile to allow for the right bonding and construction using the invisible fit membrane. And the fit overall between the non-GORE-TEX and the GORE-TEX is really seamless. You're not going to see really any difference. And that's one, because of the material, two, because of the invisible fit construction, and three, it's just really thoughtfully planning how the construction comes together. Aside from that, some small updates in the outsole from a lug orientation and placement standpoint to ensure that we're leaning into more durability and better grip as you cross over different surfaces. So just really thoughtful iterations. When you talk about this being the 8th version, we've done a lot of the big cuts, big macro
Yeah.
moves in terms of things. We made some small refinements with the stack height and the drop, but everything else is just leaning into finding more opportunities to save weight, being more efficient throughout the construction process, and finding more comfort overall. So really thoughtful updates in this 8th version.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate. I'm gonna call it like this luxurious material on the top. It doesn't feel boardy. It doesn't feel stiff, which often you can get in Gore-Tex styles. And maybe for some folks that's perfect, but this feels like a t-shirt to me, right? Like something that's soft that I want to have on my foot. It just feels comfortable, and that's been my experience wearing it as well. It's quiet. It
Yep.
doesn't pop. It really responds and breaks in nicely on my foot. So I appreciate that the addition of this type of upper. I think it's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
One of the things I really like about this shoe, and it's been nice just to experience this, is I don't know what you call this. This is a little higher than I'm used to in mini shoes, this little back part. And
Yep.
honestly, it makes it easier to get the shoe on and off. This is less likely to fold under as I'm popping the shoe on, right?
Yep.
And as somebody who's old and doesn't like bending down that much, I really appreciate that. No, that's what I love about it. What's the intentionality behind that higher heel? There's probably a much more technical reason for it.
Yeah, it's something that's just really intuitive. So we took a look at how people put shoes on, and more often than not, I'll do this just as an example. I put my thumb on the inside of the collar, and this little extra tab on the top just fits that finger nicely. And then you grab your tongue like so,
Yeah.
and the shoe comes on the foot really easily. So more than anything, it was an intuitive construction for getting the shoe on a little bit easier. And then while the shoe's on, it just provides a little bit of extra padding and cushioning at the heel of the foot near the Achilles for overall comfort. So when I was talking about those iterative updates and ways that we can find improvements not only to fit but comfort, this was a key part of that. And so that intuitive way of putting your shoe on, that's where it came in.
Okay, so it is around that, yeah. And
Yeah,
that has been absolutely my experience getting the shoe on and off versus others. It's so easy, and I kick my shoes off at home. I kick my shoes off at the office, right? It's just nice to be able to get them on and off easily.
totally.
So that's pretty cool. And then because it's invisible fit, right, that allows for that drop heel liner on the interior, and that
Hmm.
is a seamless construction through the back there. If you run your finger up and down that heel zone, you won't feel any seams in that area. So no
Yep,
hot spots, no places where I might press on my Achilles and things like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just had noticed that, and because I have you, I want to ask you.
I'll definitely divulge all the information on that. It was super fun, just like, oh yeah, well, let's do that. Okay.
Um, well, let's talk a little bit, sort of moving into this about the Gore-Tex integration. In a shoe like this, was it always going to be with Gore, right? Or do you have to make these considerations? Which styles are going to get Gore and which ones aren't? And is the Challenger kind of on the verge sometimes?
Yeah, we actually made the decision to integrate Gore back in Challenger 5. If we can
Hmm.
think back to, wow, prior COVID, we were just partnering with Gore-Tex and selecting which styles made the most sense for where that technology fits into our line. And the Challenger was an absolute no-brainer for the conditions and the surfaces that the shoe is used, as well as the Speedgoat. And so back in that Challenger 5, that was the first time that we used Gore-Tex, and we used the invisible fit. That was the first style in the HOKA lineup that used the invisible fit technology, and it was received incredibly well. That fit technology allows consumers and customers to select a non-Gore-Tex version for the times that they need that, and then move directly into the Gore-Tex invisible fit version and have that fit essentially a one-to-one fit. And so we've just carried that through each update. So that was back in the 5. We're here in the 8. I can tell you that without divulging too much information, that will continue.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a huge partnership for the brand with Gore-Tex, as well as just the thing that an aspect of technology that the consumer looks for and we deliver.
Yeah, and you called it that one to one, right? Like it does fit and feel the same as the non-Gore version, and that's really as Invisible Fit has evolved, as it's gotten even better, and you all are really good at building with it and using these same materials, right? So it does feel the same on your foot as the
Mhm.
non-Gore version. What are you seeing as like the use cases for the Gore-Tex version? Like, how would you explain to a customer? Well, okay, sounds like you need the Gore-Tex version or the non-Gore version.
Yeah, I see. Actually, the Gore-Tex version is now living in the Pacific Northwest. After living in California for several years, I'm using the Gore-Tex version almost all the time. It's
Yeah.
something that is perfect for our runs out of the office here into Forest Park. So those road to trail options where conditions are a bit inclement or we're
Oh,
oh,
sorry, Ben on mute
he's not.
that person. Not sure.
No worries. We're yeah, so we can use that in that true run setting. It is a shoe that I will honestly say is a perfect dog walking shoe.
Hmm.
Walking my dogs in the morning, in the evening. It is also that option for I see it a ton at kids soccer games. You know, just getting out into dewy grass. Things like that, running to the store where you're parking and potentially standing right over a puddle. So the conditions and the opportunities where this fits into life is pretty much limitless. And yeah, providing that in the Challenger was intuitive.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is great, right? Thinking about the use cases. And often we close our eyes and we think like, okay, you're on a muddy trail, you're out there, like this is where I need it. And I only need it in the winter where maybe it's wetter. Although we're in the Pacific Northwest, it's wet all the time. So that's not really a reality in our lives.
Yep.
But yeah, we want to really reframe how customers look at Gore-Tex. And it feels like this Challenger is a great expression of that, right? This could be your everyday driver to the
Yes.
office, to the soccer field, standing on on that wet grass. I mean, one use case that happens more often than it should with me, oddly, is I park my car next to a giant puddle and I got to step out, and I'm like, oh. So having the Gore-Tex on my foot is pretty nice because now otherwise I'm gonna have wet socks. And as we discussed yesterday with Jonathan, that can take for a long dry out time if suddenly the water is getting into the shoe.
Very much
Um,
so.
so those are all like pretty solid use cases. But getting back to even to the trail ones, right? This time of year, right out of my office, I go for a walk every day. The snow is melting and it is quite wet. And having this the Gore-Tex on my feet to be able to just get out there, not have to tiptoe around all those obstacles that might happen on the trail, right? I imagine in Portland, in Forest Park, it's like that, right? And you just don't want to have
Yep,
to worry about it. It's kind of nice to
very much
not deal
so.
with it. And that wouldn't work again if we didn't have that parity, that one-to-one with the non-Gore-Tex version. I think that really, as we've gotten there with technology,
Yeah, I
it's pretty
know
cool.
my friends and family back where I'm from in Minnesota, they have the Gore-Tex options year round
Yeah,
because yeah, 15 inches of snow last week, they're in them.
yeah.
They're yeah, definitely leaning into using that. And then as spring just continues to drag the tail out to April or May, it's a very clutch piece of their equipment.
Absolutely, right. And again, it needs to be comfortable on those warmer days, but also comfortable on those wetter days. As we always do, we cut shoes. So we took one of these Challengers and cut it in half, and I want to pop that up onto the screen. When I look at this, right, I see invisible fit, I see direct bonding, I see heel liner. When you look at this, can you explain to me a little bit about what you see, like things that you as on the development team or working with the development team had to work through and really parts that you're proud of?
Yeah, I think some key aspects that you look at is it's seamless. There's really no opportunities for any sort of hot spots to form where
Mm,
we've put that seam for that heel drop liner in the
yeah.
back. That seam lands right midfoot, and there's not a lot of interaction or interface with the foot in that area, and it's done intentionally. So where you do see seams, in that midfoot area, and then also along the collar line. That was also intuitive. It's a comfort collar is an aspect of
Yeah.
the shoe that we're calling that. You'll see it across a few styles here in 2026, fall 2025 as well. And it's done to provide a little bit of extra comfort where some of those seams can be placed in other areas
Hmm.
and cause a bit of irritation. So just looking at the anatomy of the foot and being very mindful of where we're placing seams and constructions. As you mentioned previously, there is no seam in that heel. I know we cut the shoe in half, so you can't see the other half, but yes, there is no seam
Yeah.
as you move through that very back center portion of the heel. And then looking at what's happening in that forefoot, moving into the tongue and to the right side of the screen is the thin profile of what's happening in construction. That outside material and that invisible fit, that lamination is really seamless. It is creating a ton of volume and the same fit that you're going to get in that non-Gore-Tex version. So the comfort, the protection through all conditions is thoughtful, or we're being thoughtful about how that's constructed for each version. And so the way that we can celebrate this with a shoe cut in half and really see the work that we put in and partnered with the Gore-Tex team to ensure that we got every aspect correct and it functions well through all of our testing is really a place where we can celebrate it.
Yeah, and having that thinner upper as well, right? Being able to really directly bond, and you all are so good at like just making sure that's a really nice tight package up to the toe. That's also going to increase the thermal conductivity of the upper of that shoe, meaning that you can get the heat out of the shoe quicker. Again, trying to approach the parity with the non-gore shoes so that they don't feel hot on your foot, and that's been my experience as well. Even when in the office, when I forget to take them off and I get in here, I forget I have them on. Right? It's not like my feet are getting wet or hot, and again, that comes from that thinness of the upper that you've been able to engineer into here. And again, also really appreciating that the upper material you've selected on this shoe is soft and supple and really nice feeling on my foot. This is going to be the shoe. I'm going to go to Europe this summer for 3 weeks with the family. We're going to be
Love
in
it.
Rome. It's going to be hot. We're also going to be up in the Alps, and we're going to go to Chamonix, and we're going to take some, trail, go out and get on the trails and get after it a bit. This will be my driver. I've decided, right, as we go up there, because this is really will cover all bases. And I do actually really kind of appreciate the more conservative look of this shoe. It's not loud.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if I am in a city or if I am going into a church, I'm not going to feel a little self-conscious where something like the Speedgo, which is designed to be loud, right? I might be a little self-conscious of that shoe on my foot. So
Yeah,
all of those components come together to make this a really good everyday driver, at least for me. And
totally.
and Gore-Tex will be a no-brainer for me to bring Europe. Like, I just don't know what I'm going to get into. I want to have my bases covered. So
Yeah, I'm taking a road trip starting tomorrow. I'm making
oh,
my way
sick.
from Portland down to Central Coast, California to Santa Barbara. And this is the shoe. This is actually the actual shoe that I'm going to be using. The other half is at my desk. And we're going to be crossing through a ton of different
Yep.
conditions and climates, knowing that we're landing in Santa Barbara. It's going to be warm. There's going to be some water. They got a ton of rain 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's going to be the daily driver and the one shoe I take. So
Oh, the trails behind Santa Barbara are so fun. I hopefully you get out and be able to trail run on those. Those are just epic through the skyline there. It's
yeah,
so good down there.
it's going to be great.
Down in Malibu as well. Well, fun. That sounds like a great trip. I'm jealous that you get to take off and hit the road tomorrow. That sounds fantastic. I'm sure it's well
Yeah.
earned.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
Let's shift gears now from sort of another shoe that maybe folks are considering in parallel, and I don't have one yet because it's not out yet.
Yeah,
But the Speedgoat 7 Gore-Tex.
yeah,
This shoe is getting an update. The Speedgoat 7 is on the market. The Gore-Tex version is coming a little bit later.
yeah,
Can you run us through a little bit of what the updates are on the Speedgoat 7 versus the 6? Maybe
yeah.
some of the reasons. I'm not going to fully clinic on this, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. What's new?
Yeah, the Spigot 7 was such a fun project to work on with the entire team. And some of the things that we really focused on was that experience again. And so the key update that you'll see from the Spigot 6 to the Spigot 7 that also translates into the Gore-Tex option that will be coming in fall of 26. So I believe it's August of this year is the midsole was the big focus point for where we're updating the shoe. And so moving from our compression molded EVA to a compression molded SCF EVA, and that SCF super critically foamed
Hmm.
EVA allows us to introduce more air through the molding process into the midsole. More air means lighter weight through the construction and the compound. It adds a little bit more resiliency and responsiveness underfoot as well. So having this shoe using that type of compound and that type of foam really allows it to translate from a training shoe to a racing shoe back and forth very easily. And the outsole made some key updates with the lug placement, lug shape. You'll see some hearts there right here in the middle because it is the heart of the HOKA lineup. Our designer, Sean, I have to give him huge props for that, for integrating some of those great little details. And it's a fun leave behind if you're in snow, if you're in sand. Just a fun, functional part of the way that we like to build here. So a ton of function built in through testing. This is excelled. And then here in the Gore-Tex version, we made some really thoughtful updates to the textile that is as close, similar to the Challenger, as a one-to-one from a textile standpoint.
Mhm.
With one difference in the Gore-Tex version is we're using a little bit of Cordura here in the heel quarter of the shoe. So a little bit of more durable and hardy material in the heel. And then we use a quick lace between
Oh,
the non-Gore-Tex version using our regular traditional lace and then a quick lace here
oh,
in
cool.
Gore-Tex. Yeah,
Yeah, that creates a little differentiation without really affecting the performance, right? We want people to feel confident in either one, and creating that differentiation with the quick lace and a little Cordura in the heel zone, which again, that's in a zone that doesn't really affect the ride much for me, right? It does not, it's not as, but having that durability back there with Cordura is going to be pretty cool.
exactly.
I love the little Easter. I like the way you phrase that, the leave behind, right, of the outsole. We've all looked at our footprints, right, and like, oh, those are mine, right, and it's kind of
Yep.
fun, and it's like this little temporary thing you leave behind in snow and sand, and to be thoughtful about how that looks is actually kind of cool. I never thought of that before, and to put the hearts in there and the little goat's head, that's
Yep.
really clever. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of us here at Hoka, myself included, are strong believers of the leave no trace. And so the
yeah, yeah.
only things that we will leave behind is a footprint. And if that footprint can instill a smile, then we've done our job. So joy through movement and then joy through sharing it with others is kind of a way to do it.
And then traditionally speaking, in the Speedgoat, you introduced a mid. That's a little different. You're approaching this a little bit differently this season.
Yeah, yeah. So the mid is going to be utilizing that same midsole construction. As we move into the upper, we're really focusing this more towards hike, and you'll see it in
Yeah.
the name. So this is the Speedgoat 7 Hike Gore-Tex,
Okay.
and the key update here using invisible is
Yes.
using invisible fit. So using
Yay.
a visible fit construction in a mid has been something that we've been working for and towards for several seasons. And so we were finally able to integrate it here in the Speedgoat 7 Hike Gore-Tex. Rolls off the tongue. And it is definitely a shoe for those go fast moments during your hikes. So fast packing, slow packing, however you want to approach the trail, it is a very lightweight hiking option and a dimension within the Speedgoat franchise. So very excited for both of these Speedgoat Gore-Tex products to hit the market in fall of 2026.
And as has happened in the past, and actually I want to explore all of this, when it comes to fit, right? We have regulars in the Speedgoat. Sorry, in this one, I know now you're actually able to offer a wide,
Yep.
and that's really exciting to build. I think that just shows that this testament to the success of Invisible Fit is that these shoes are selling better. You can lean in now to more SKUs, and that wide
Yep.
version is a possibility. Are we going to see wides in the Speedgoat as well?
Yes, you're going to see wide in the Speedgoat low, and the mid. I'm waiting to confirm if that will be available. I'm just
Okay,
quickly
fingers
checking
crossed.
to CYA and make sure it's completely in lock. But the
Yeah, right.
huge advantage of the Speedgoat low was that was one of the first opportunities for us, in addition to the Challenger, to introduce a width option in a Gore-Tex, and so maintaining consistency within that has been our goal, and it's been well received.
Um, that's great, right? And great has been well received, and you're able to continue on with that program, right? And I imagine with the Speedgoat mid, or the hike, you're looking into how
Yep.
that booked, right? Whether you move forward on those. So, decision to be made here soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
Um, so let's kind of zoom out a bit and sort of in summary look at maybe the Challenger versus the Speedgoat, because those are products that we're going to maybe customers are considering one or the other, maybe not, right? There's some true differentiation here, right? These are very different beasts.
Yes.
Um, but just in some general comparisons, some high overviews, I think it helps us to remember a little bit what you've talked about. And let's just begin with the last a little bit, right? And I want to get back because you actually mentioned that the Challenger is on the same as the Clifton. Did that update come in the Clifton 9 or the Clifton 10? As Joanne asked this.
Yeah, and that was something that I realized I was moving too quickly, and it was the Cliff 10. So the
Yeah.
Clifton 10th version. I worked on the Clifton 9, and we didn't update the last, so I should have known that, and just got too excited. But yeah, it was the Clifton 10 that updated the last, and that's
Hmm.
where we had the opportunity to integrate that same last in the
Okay.
construction of the Challenger 8.
And then from a last perspective, just an overview in the Speedgoat versus the Challenger, or maybe how you have experienced fit in each of these. Are they tuned same? Are they tuned differently?
They're uniquely different, and I think the Speedgoat has been known for a little bit more of an aggressive fit, and that was some of the impetus of where we introduced the dynamic vamp. The
Uh-huh.
dynamic vamp moves a little bit differently in the Gore-Tex version using that invisible fit, but on the non-Gore-Tex version, that dynamic vamp allows for a little bit more toe splay and accommodation room in that the forefoot area, as that last is a little bit more snug. And it's
Okay.
done for that room just as the foot begins to swell, and to help with some of that material as you're moving through the last part of the gait cycle. So making it easy and soft right across the toes, which is a sensitive area, and to allow a little bit more comfort. So the Speedgoat has a little bit more of a closer fit, more aggressive fit in the overall last.
Yeah.
And then the Challenger, similar to the Clifton, is a bit more accommodating, just a wider option slightly for where that forefoot sits. And then we also have both wide options for the non-Gore-Tex and the Gore-Tex in both the Challenger and the Speedgoat.
Right. So many options here then to choose from and fit to get somebody into the shoe that they're really feeling comfortable about. Let's take one other comparison. Let's take a look at the outsoles. And we've got a slide actually for this because this is one of my favorite things to do because outsole tells you a lot about intentionality. And
Yep.
just from your perspective, give us a little insight into the comparison of the outsoles.
Yeah, so when we talk about moving across different surfaces, that's where these shoes really diverge. And
Yeah.
the Challenger definitely excels as you're moving between concrete, asphalt, those paved surfaces. And that's where you see some of that exposed EVA. And it's done intentionally to increase that smoothness of the ride overall. And then when you look at the lug shape in general, those are lugs that are spaced closer together. There are more of them, so it is smooth while you're on the road. And then when you do get onto the lighter trail surfaces, it does provide that right amount of traction and grip biting into that surface.
Final comparison of the Speed Goat versus the Challenger, right? You talked about outsoles. We've talked a little bit about the fit. Can you and you brought in these foams, right? Very different sort of foam ideas. What's the major overlying? How would you want somebody to express the Challenger foam and what their experience would be versus that Speed Goat foam?
Yeah, the Challenger foam is more of that plush and just smooth experience. And when you're looking at the Spigo, that has more air in it, so it's a bit lighter. There's a little bit more of responsive expression in that compound, so it has a little more give back as you work through the shoe. So smooth and cushioned is the Challenger, and then a little bit more responsive and poppy is
Okay.
a way that I would maybe lean towards the Speed Goat. It is not to the same degree as like a PIBA or ATPU types of foams, and those are our super foams, but it lives in that same family. So there's nice responsiveness to it, and it has some great longevity.
Yeah, it bridges that gap. You said I think you call it SCF, super critical foam.
Yep.
It really bridges that gap to have a bit more responsiveness, and that's going to be a fun update in the Speed Goat. It's
Yeah.
going to feel lively
Yeah.
in that
It's so
shoe.
fun. I've been loving it.
And Jared, have fun on your road trip. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great break.
Yeah, have a great time down there, and we'll see you back here soon. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for the time.